Hi guys, welcome to Sasha K Creations. In this video, I'm gonna show you what I used to make the Time to Flourish planner album. And I'm gonna start with the Ivory cardstock for the base pages. I'm not sure how many I used, but this pack has 100 sheets and I used most of them. And then you're gonna need 3 sheets, 12 by 12 sand colored cardstock. If you want to use another color, you can of course do that. But I really like this color for the collection, and I really think that it goes with everything. But use whatever color you like. Then you're gonna need some chipboard. I already cut mine because I get these huge sheets of chipboard. A very good friend of mine brings them home from work. And I'm not really sure what they used it for, but I know that they throw it out anyway. So who doesn't like free stuff? You're gonna need 2 pieces for the front and the back. I cut them down to 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. And then you're gonna need 1 piece that are 8 3/4 by 4. All of the measurements I'm using are in inches. And then you're gonna need the Time to Flourish Deluxe Collector's Edition. It's 12 by 12 from Graphic 45. It includes a sheet of chipboards and 2 sheets of stickers. And the sand colored paper is almost the same color as the frame around the chipboards. And also the banner on the paper packs. So I really think that it goes well with this collection. You're also gonna need a pack of the Time to Flourish 8 by 8 and 12 of the regular kraft tags. There are only 9 tags in one pack, so you are gonna need 2 of them. Then you're gonna need the Graphic 45 calendar stamps. This die that goes with the regular tags. It comes with this cool die with gears, but we're only gonna use the tag die in this one. You're also gonna need this die. It's the folder and sentiment dies. And I'm only gonna use the folder. You're gonna need one of these buckles from Tim Holtz. I'm gonna use this one. It's the goldish brown colored one. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the color's name is. But I hope you know which one I mean. You're gonna need 1 brad with long legs. The color doesn't matter because we're not gonna be able to see it. And then you're gonna need some eyelets, the same color as the buckle. And we're gonna use some magnets in this. And I have, I think, 100 magnets in this magnet stick, and I know that it seems like a lot of magnets. You don't have to make the magnetic hinge system that I always use. It is a little complicated, but I will of course show you how to make it if you would like to try. And if not, you are still gonna need 32 magnets for the pages. And then you're gonna need 5 of these middle corners, 4 of them to protect the corners of the cover, and 1 of them is for the belt closure. And they are also the same color as the buckle that we're gonna use. And then you're gonna need some fake leather, or real if you want. This is just a piece from an old belt that I found at a thrift shop. You'll want it to be a half an inch wide. You could also probably use some leather paper or anything else that doesn't rip apart. But I really like this brown color. I think it looks great with the cover. I'm just gonna move all of this stuff away so I can show you what else you'll be needing. Glossy accents. I love this stuff. I use it on almost all of my projects. And glue, I use bookbinding glue, and I always have two, so if one of them gets clogged up, then I'll just grab the other one. Scor tape. This is 1/4 of an inch. You can use whatever size you like. Some foam tape. This one is black, but you're not gonna be able to see it, so the color is not important. Some distress oxide. I'll be using vintage photo. This color literally goes with everything. It's my favorite and I use it on almost all of my projects. Some black ink for stamping. I'm using Memento. Some Tyvek or some thin fabric. I'm gonna use this. It's really hard to tear apart. And a thin paper bag. The thinner the better. And I almost forgot, you are gonna need 2 leftover pieces of chipboard, and these are gonna be used to make the cover, in between the parts of the cover, to make sure there is room enough for it to bend without cracking. You're also gonna need a paper cutter. This is the precision rotary cutter from Fiskars, and I really recommend this. It's amazing. I'm also using the paper trimmer from Holtz for my smaller pieces. But of course, you don't have to have both. If you have a big paper cutter, you don't need the trimmer. You are gonna need a scoreboard. And of course, you are also gonna need some kind of working mat. As you can see, I am working with the media mat from Holtz. You are gonna want something you can cut on. And then you're gonna need a corner punch to round up the corners. And you're gonna need some kind of die or punch. You don't have to, but it's a really nice detail in the album. And then you're gonna need something to add your eyelets. I am using this crocodile. It punches holes and puts in the eyelets. A metal ruler or a ruler with a metal edge. I like using this one from Holtz. It has the metal edge and it's transparent so you can see what you're doing. Some pliers and some scissors, big and small. I used the small one for fussy cutting. A poke stick thingy tool, or a really big needle. This is for poking a hole in the cover. A bone folder. A really sharp crafting knife. A pencil with an eraser. Stamp blocks. I ended up using a stamp platform instead. It was so much easier and I really recommend it. And last but not least, a cloth or a small towel. I am gonna put a list of all of these things in the description below. I'm also gonna add a cutting list for all of the regular cardstock for the base pages. So you can pre-cut all of it before we get started. And we are gonna start by cutting the A pieces. And I'm just gonna make something I call a cutting buddy. I'm gonna show you when I'm done struggling with this tape. This is what I do when I have to cut a lot of pieces the same size. I take a leftover piece of cardstock and some, what's it called? Washi tape. I take some washi tape and then I put down the cardstock where I want to cut all of my pieces, so I have something to push the paper up against. This way is quicker and I don't have to line up the paper to the measurements every time. I can just push it until it stops and cut my paper. And this way you also make sure that all of your pieces are gonna be the exact same size. And it's not complicated to do at all. I'm gonna call these pieces A, and the next one I'm gonna call B, and then C, and so on. So you can keep your papers organized, and so you know which pieces go where. But I'm gonna start with the A pieces. You'll need 5 pieces that are 8¼ by 8¼ and these pieces are for the base pages. And and as I mentioned, I am gonna put a list in the description below with all the paper you'll need to pre-cut. So when you're building the album, you could just grab the pieces you'll need and put them together. But be sure to keep all of your scraps because I am gonna use some scraps in the tutorial for some smaller details. And I'm just moving my cutting buddy. You can use this until the tape isn't sticky anymore, and then you just put on some new tape. Then you're gonna cut 12 pieces that are 8¼ by 10 inches. And these are for the big flap on all of the pages, and we're gonna call these B. I should mention that the cardstock in Denmark has some different measurements than in the US. In Denmark, a piece of cardstock is 8¼ by 11¾ where in the US it's 8½ by 11. So if you want to get as much out of your cardstock as possible, then you should measure which pieces you can get out of a single sheet and how many, because it might be a little different than what I am doing right now. I don't like to cut multiple sheets at once because as you can see, it's very hard to push the knife through, and I feel like it's ripping more paper than it's cutting, and it just seems like that my paper cutter doesn't really like it. So I am just gonna cut one sheet of paper at a time when I am done with these pieces. Next up is the C pieces. This piece is gonna be the arm for the magnetic closure on the big flap. And you are gonna need 12 of these and cut them at 1/2 inch by 6 inches. Just gonna write A, B, and C. You don't have to write on all of the pieces. If you just keep the ones you've written on on top of the pile. And next up is the D pieces. You're gonna need 12 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And these pieces are for the base of the magnetic closure. And then you're gonna cut 12 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/8. And these are gonna be the E pieces. Then you're gonna cut 12 pieces that are 7 1/4 by 5 inches. J pieces, you are gonna cut 12 pieces that are 4 inches by 3 3/8. And now you're gonna cut 12 H pieces that are 5 3/4 by 8 inches. And now you're gonna cut 12 pieces that are 6.5 by 10 inches. And these are the eye pieces. You're gonna cut 12 J pieces at 5 inches by 9.5. And these are the K pieces. You are going to cut 24 of them at 5 3/8 by 3.5. And these are going to be the week inserts in the folder. And if you want to make more of these, then you just cut as many as you want. These are not going to be covered, so you should write with a pencil that's easily erased, or maybe you could write on a post-it and stick it on there. And now it's time to make some score lines. We are going to start with the B pieces and put them on the scoreboard with the long side up, and then we're going to score them at 8.25 and again at 8.5. We are also going to score the C pieces with the long side up at 4 and again at 4 1/4. We're also going to score the F pieces, and we are going to start laying them with the long side up and score them at 1/2 inch and at 6 3/4. And then we're going to turn them so it's the short side that's up, and then we're going to score again at 4 1/4. Now we're going to cut off the corners, and I'm going to cut on the inside of the score lines, if that makes sense. So you're going to cut off the score lines. Now you're going to score all of the eyepieces, and you're going to lay them with the long side up and score at 1 inch and at 9 inches. And then you're going to take the eyepieces and make a border with either a punch or a die. I am using a Martha Stewart punch, and I am starting in the middle and working my way out on both sides. you're going to take your J pieces and lay them with the short side up and score at 4 1/4. Then you're going to turn them with the long side up and score at 3/4 of an inch and again at 8 3/4 of an inch. And then you're going to cut off the corners on the J pieces as well. And now it's time for some die cutting, and we are going to start with the tag die and die cut 12 tags. And we are going to do the same thing with the other die and die cut 12 folders. Now it's time to do some stamping. And as I said earlier, I'm gonna be using a stamp platform instead of a stamping block because it is much easier and quicker. And the results also gonna be much better. And I'm using the stamp platform from Holtz. And you can use both clear stamps and rubber stamps on this one. I am gonna stamp on 2 pieces at once. And I just have to erase the K before I use that piece. The platform comes with 2 really strong magnets, and you are gonna put the magnets on top of the paper to hold it in place while you are stamping. Now it's time to open up the pack of stamps from Graphic 45. And these are brand new. I have never used them before, so I am really excited to try them out. I am gonna use all of the weekdays stamps, Monday to Sunday, and I'm also gonna use all of the months. But we are gonna start with January. So I'm just gonna peel off the January stamp and all of the weekday stamps. And I'm just placing them loosely on the paper until I figure out exactly where I want them. And I'm not gonna measure anything, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But I am using the lines on the platform to guide me, so the words are gonna be straight. This is why I love using the platform instead of stamping blocks, because you can easily adjust the stamps and see exactly where you are stamping before you add your ink. And this is it. Now we are ready to add the ink. And I'm just gonna dab the stamps with the ink pad until they are completely covered. And you don't want to do this too hard, because if you do, then you're gonna have way too much ink in all of the cracks, and when you are stamping it'll get mushy. And with the platform you can always stamp again if you didn't add enough the first time. So you'd rather be careful with the ink instead of adding too much. You have to add a little pressure on all of the stamps to make sure that they are all gonna stamp on the paper. Now let's see how this turned out. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm gonna take out the pieces of paper, and I'm just gonna make sure that they are dry before the next step. So now you are gonna switch the pieces and turn them around. And remember to add your magnets so your paper doesn't move. And make sure that they are not gonna be in the way of your stamps. So now you can re-ink the stamps and stamp on the other side of the papers. Again, I'm just dabbing the ink pad lightly on the stamps. And now we can stamp again. A friend of mine just taught me that you could use a cloth and add some pressure on your platform and kind of go around it in circular motions instead of pushing down on all of the stamps. And it made a huge difference for me. So I can definitely recommend doing that instead. Now you're done stamping on these 2 pieces of paper, and I'm just gonna grab a baby wipe and wipe off the ink of the January stamp. You're not gonna take any of the other stamps off, so you don't have to wipe them just yet. I think I forgot to mention that my ink is water-based, so the stamps are really easy to clean. And when you've gotten all of the ink of your January stamp, you're gonna put it back and switch it out with February. And make sure that it's not upside down. And then you could just place it on top of the January and close the platform, and then the stamp should stick. But mine is a little crooked, so I'm just gonna adjust it a little. Now I'm gonna take off my January pieces, and I am pretty sure that they are dry now. And as you can see, you have January, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on one side, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the other side. So you're gonna grab 2 new pieces and make sure that they are straight, and then just do the same thing again. Add your ink and stamp. And if you have to add a little more ink to a stamp, you just do that. Let them dry a little, switch them around, and ink again. And then you are just going to do that with all of the other months as well. Now you have all of your wheat cards ready. So now we just have to clean up all of our stamps and also the stamp platform. And that's it. Now you have almost all of your pieces ready to assemble the album. I didn't make a cutting guide for the graphic 45 paper because when I started the album, I wasn't completely sure how I wanted to cut it. But I'm going to show you and explain in the tutorial. In my next video, I am going to show you how to make the cover base and the magnetic hinge system. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified about my upcoming videos. I hope to see you in part 2. Thank you for watching.